Dear audiobook narrators, your job is to narrate. It's to read the book properly. If there is a word you don't recognize, you need to figure out how it's supposed to be pronounced. So this comes off of my experience with an audiobook of Herman Melville's Typee, and the audiobook reader got some words wrong in terms of wrong pronunciation. I actually asked my children to pronounce these words, and I will just clip in them not swearing and trying the various words. Victuals. Do it first. How do you pronounce that word?
Victuals.
Okay. How do you pronounce that word?
Victuals.
Okay. Tell me, how do you pronounce that word?
Victuals.
Okay. This one I got wrong myself. So I say it puissant, which is one of the standard pronunciations, but I found out there are multiple standard pronunciations for this word. It came from French, so go figure. How do you pronounce that word?
Boatswain.
Oh. How do you pronounce that word?
It's difficult because it can be both boatswain or bosun.
Okay, so it can be boatswain, but bosun, right?
Bosun has more common.
How do you pronounce that word?
Boatswain.
Very good. Typee. There is a dog with this name. I do not remember how the audiobook reader pronounced it. I do know he did not pronounce it bosun, which is actually the way it's generally pronounced. Bosun. So many of naval vocabulary has been anglicized, and what I mean is you look at these very long place names in England and that kind of thing, and it's a single syllable. So that's bosun. Okay. And how do you pronounce that word?
The fuck?
That's not how you pronounce that word.
So it's
So how would you?
vocal. No, vocal. No.
And this one, not the bottom one.
Forecastle.
Forecastle. Okay, D. Tell. And how do you pronounce?
Forecastle.
Okay, and
Forecastle.
forecastle. Okay. And then here, from forecastle comes forecastle, which the audiobook reader kept pronouncing as foxhole. More or less, it's not foxhole, it's forecastle. Forecastle. And notice, if you know the rules for apostrophes, for contractions, it is to indicate letters, right, that are omitted. The RE, the A, and the T are omitted from forecastle. And with that, I have some very sad news. I have just learned that the Apostrophe Society has shut down because ignorance and laziness have won. Though I think there's actually something a little more relevant in that the founder of this Apostrophe Society, John Richards, is 96 years old. I think it has a little more to do with him being 96 and nobody else really being all that interested in having this Apostrophe Protection Society continue. Because, hey, we're not the French. We don't police our language, and it shows. It's okay. Here is the deal. When you are getting paid to read a book, do your job, prepare, and don't assume you know the pronunciation of all the words. It's very off-putting, I find. Now, of course, probably victuals or victuals have been building up the pronunciation again. Victual. So you see, victual. I was right.
Victual.
Victual, not victual. Though the thing is, given enough time, if we were actually using this word, which most people aren't, they would more likely just say food vittles, vittles, we might get the wrong pronunciation back, just like how often, because the pronunciation is coming back, and how many other pronunciations that didn't exist initially came out of the spelling. Anyway, if you are paid to do it, please do your job and find out how words are pronounced, because as a very heavy audiobook user, I find it extremely off-putting when people are saying foxhole instead of forecastle.